Alright YouTube, so we are back with another Final Fantasy VII Remake discussion video. We do these when the news is kind of light, which I've referenced in the last couple of videos. There's just not really anything to talk about, and whenever that's the case, when there's no news for the game, that's when we kind of do these discussion videos. And what I want to talk about today is Sephiroth being in Midgar, which was a pretty controversial thing whenever this got showed to us during like E3 week or whatever, because in the original game, we don't physically even see Sephiroth until the Calm flashback, and we're not even seeing him. That's like a memory of clouds or whatever. So a lot of people had issue with this because Sephiroth wasn't in Midgar in the original game, which actually isn't entirely true, which we'll get into as the video goes on.
Hold on to that hatred.
And before we even get into that, the Sephiroth that we see through like 90% of Final Fantasy VII isn't even the actual Sephiroth. He's up in the Northern Cave. What we're seeing is Jenova taking the form of Sephiroth, which is why when we come across him through a lot of the game, we have to fight some sort of Jenova monster. So with that stuff out of the way, let's just hop right into it. Something I mentioned in one of my recent videos, which is honestly one of the weakest points here, is that Sephiroth is just a selling point when it comes to Final Fantasy VII anything. Him and Cloud are the most popular characters. Cloud's probably the most popular just because he's the hero, the protagonist, but Sephiroth is immensely popular too. And if you're talking about a Final Fantasy VII Remake, a game we've been waiting a very, very long time for, it's coming out and it's Midgar only, which would imply that there is no Sephiroth to really be had in the game, that's going to hurt it a little bit. I mean, we're already kind of worried that we're not going to have a lot of the extended roster because you don't come across like half of the main party until you get outside of Midgar, so we don't even know if there's going to be Cait Sith, Yuffie, Vincent, or Cid in this first game. Add on to this the possibility of there being no Sephiroth, and that sounds like an awful game in a lot of ways, man. You don't have half of your main party, and you don't have the main villain of the entire game. Yeah, Shinra's kind of the main focus at the beginning stages of the game, but still, Sephiroth's the villain, we know that. On top of all of this, when it comes to what we've seen of Sephiroth so far, it seems to be implied that he's just like a mirage or a vision or something that Cloud's seen that's not actually there. So I don't even know where like the resentment or the hate comes from this, because we don't even know if there's actually going to be a physical Sephiroth that we see or fight or talk to in the game. So far it just seems to be something that's haunting Cloud. And I think from a narrative perspective, thematically, it makes sense that Sephiroth would be haunting Cloud. It's not like Cloud doesn't know who Sephiroth is, forgot who Sephiroth was. I know in the original game we don't even see or hear about Cloud's history with Sephiroth until the Calm flashback, but it's not like Cloud just forgot what Sephiroth did. He murdered his hometown, he killed his mother, killed everybody he's ever known. Why wouldn't that haunt Cloud for the rest of his life? And I think it makes sense that with Sephiroth being close by in Midgar, that Cloud would either start having visions or whatever of Sephiroth, or it's Sephiroth himself just antagonizing Cloud.
You have to leave. You have to live.
So while the original game didn't touch on the history of Cloud and Sephiroth until the Calm flashback, which takes place outside of Midgar, this game Midgar only, I think it makes sense that we'd be seeing Sephiroth in this game. And with Cloud being in Midgar, Jenova's in the Shinra building inside of Midgar, that being close to Jenova, maybe he'd start having these flashbacks or these visions or whatever, or again, it's just Sephiroth himself messing with him. As for whether or not Sephiroth is ever physically there, it's hard to say, but all it would have to be is just a single piece of Jenova somewhere in the world that could turn into Sephiroth and come to Midgar. There's nothing saying that every single aspect of Jenova is locked in that chamber inside the Shinra building. But regardless of all that anyway, so far with what we've seen of the game, it's implied that Sephiroth is just something that Cloud has seen. He's not physically there. And to kind of further drive this point home, they're standing in a hallway with a bunch of fire. It looks like Sephiroth standing in front of a burning house, probably a house from Nibelheim, and then when Cloud attacks him, it all disappears. And then you see that that house or that building, whatever it was, is no longer in front of Cloud and that he's standing in just a regular hallway. Like if it was just Sephiroth standing in front of Cloud, no fire or whatever, Cloud attacks him, he disappears, it's like, okay, you can make the argument that he just like teleported away because he's Sephiroth and has powers. But the fact that all this fire disappears and this house or whatever is behind Sephiroth disappears, it's pretty clear it's just something that Cloud has seen. So to wrap up the video, Sephiroth being in Midgar is not a big issue because it's either something in Cloud's mind that's messing with him, memories, flashbacks, whatever, or it's the actual Sephiroth who's antagonizing Cloud, as in making him see things because it appears like these are just visions or something that Cloud has seen. But even if there is a physical Sephiroth that we come across in this game, ultimately it's not the actual Sephiroth anyway, it's just a Jenova clone. And at the end of the day, as I said previously, Sephiroth is a selling point, and I want him in this game, even if it's just something Cloud has seen. And there you have YouTube, that's my take on the whole Sephiroth being inside of Midgar thing. I think people are blowing this way out of proportion, and because this is a remake and not just a retelling of the original story, I think it's better fan service for us to get some Sephiroth versus Cloud type of stuff from the beginning of the game, in the Midgar segment. I love that. By the way, of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and want to stay up to date with more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on my notifications, follow me on Twitter at TheDashingDavid, and my Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys. Give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while, quit acting like a